Let's say you did something bad and needed a safe place to hide. Where would you go? Let's talk about it. In the event that you need to leave the country and find somewhere safe to lay low, where would you run? Jason Bourne is not the only one who might need a place to disappear. It's very possible to find yourself in a position where you would need to find another place in the world to call home. Any number of infringements can have the government after you. Edward Snowden and Julian Assange aren't the only ones that needed to find a place to disappear to, but unfortunately for Assange, he didn't do a good job of hiding. Even if you aren't an international spy, a government whistleblower, a serial murderer, or a former president, you may still find yourself on the other side of the law. If, for instance, your business gets investigated, a new law is made that makes your business a criminal enterprise, you are a controversial activist. Or even if you get involved with the wrong people or have a half-crazed ex-spouse or pesky creditor even might be enough to want to disappear. Having an idea of where you could safely disappear just in case something happens might be a good idea or just a fun thought experiment. So what are the best countries to run to when you need to escape? When planning out your perfect escape, one of the first things you should check is which country you could run to where you are not at risk of being extradited back to the US, as the US has bilateral extradition agreements with over 107 countries. This means that if you make a mistake of landing up in one of these places, you might run a high risk of being sent back straight to the land of the not-so-free. Therefore, it might make sense to choose a country that does not have an extradition treaty with the US. Extradition is when one country repatriates an individual who is accused or convicted of a crime back in the country where it was committed. However, it usually involves a bilateral treaty. These treaties are not legally binding and are based on the cooperation of law enforcement agencies of both countries. An extradition treaty means that there is an official and organized mutual agreement between two nations using a bilateral agreement to extradite fugitives back to the soil of the country to face the legal consequences. However, it's important to mention that extradition is a murky business in practice. There are many instances where countries that do have extradition treaties have not followed them, and times where countries that do not have extradition treaties have sent fugitives back anyway. There are on average 400 to 700 people that are extradited back to the US every year. That being said, you do stand a better chance if you choose to hide in a country that does not have an official extradition treaty with the US. So what are some of the countries with no extradition treaties with the US? There's Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Cape Verde, China, Congo, Georgia, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Kuwait, Laos, Lebanon, Madagascar, Mongolia, Morocco, Niger, Oman, Russia, Samoa, Saudi Arabia, South Sudan, Taiwan, Togo, Turkmenistan, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Vatican City, Vietnam, and Yemen, and much, much more. If you do need to narrow your list to a few top choices of places in the world where you could hide out, there are a few that make the list. So what's the difference between no extradition treaty and non-extradition? There is a difference between being in a place which has no extradition treaty and not being extradited. There are examples of countries which do have extradition treaties but still refuse extradition in the past, such as Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Bolivia, Ecuador, Iceland, and Switzerland. There are also instances where countries have extradited fugitives even without extradition treaties, such as the case in Spain and Yemen. But there are no guarantees. There are certain countries which do not extradite their citizens under any circumstances, such as Brazil, Venezuela, and Cuba. In fact, Brazil is one of the easiest places to become a citizen through naturalization, so perhaps that is also something to consider. So what are your thoughts? Should there be a worldwide agreement on extradition? If you like this video, hit that like button and consider subscribing. I talk about money and everything related to it, so don't miss out. And as always, take care of your money.